Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Inside Soul special event. My name's Lon Hudman. I'm Vice President of Events and Marketing at Soul Naturals, and I can see we have a huge group already joining us live and chatting in, saying hi, and I know why there's so much excitement and why there's such a large group. You've all logged in to hear my dad joke, right? All right, well, I'm not going to keep you waiting. So here's what happened. Earlier today, the executive team and I, we were talking about innovation, inventions, and I said, you know what? In my opinion, the greatest invention, or the invention in the last 100 years that I think is the greatest, is whiteboards. Because I think of all the inventions, whiteboards are the most remarkable. Remarkable. Think about it. All right, now that that's over, we're actually going to turn the time over to our great group that we have gathered here, great team, to tell you about a brand new Soul product. So I'm going to turn the time over now to my good friend, Soul's president and founder, Greg Halliday, and also founder Blake Christensen.
Good evening, everyone. So happy to be here with you. We've got some wonderful information planned. And honestly, probably should be the better part of an hour and worth every minute of it. So you want to stay tuned. And I always love it when we look out and we see people with phones up at the screen taking pictures, because there'll be some great information that we can use to help ourselves and help others. In fact, it's very timely, what we'll talk about tonight. With me, you probably can see him, is Soul Vice President of Supply Chain. He's that and a lot more to me. I've known Blake for the better part of 30 years. Been about 30 years, hasn't it, Blake? And we pried him away from the warehouse, which is not easy to do these days. And Blake is going to share some information with us in just a bit. But let's just get it started. I'd like to just tell you, let's show you a picture of this exciting new product, the reason we're all gathered. It's called Soul Longevity. So when you look at that, I mean, you might try to read it a few different ways. We realize that. It's not Longevity 3. You could probably say that, but you can see the little 3 there. It's just Soul Longevity. Longevity is an interesting word because it has a lot to do with how we feel now, quality of life, and what we can do about it in terms of making our future the way we want it to be with nutrition and health. And this is a product that is very timely. In fact, Blake, how long has it been that we've been working on this formula now?
It's been pushing a year.
Yeah, about a year. And part of the reason that it's taken this time, it's kind of moved quickly, and it's also taken time. And part of the reason is we felt it was topical. There's, I think, an extra special need. Both Blake and I feel that. And it can make an important difference. But also, it's got some ingredients that are very innovative. And as always, we have to thank Dr. Alison, who you're going to hear from in a bit, as she once again pointed us toward an ingredient that's a real life changer, a real game changer, and something we're proud to offer at Soul Naturals. So with that, let me just read a small portion from the back of the label. This is on the label of longevity. Adaptogens, a unique probiotic, mineral-rich herbs, an abundant plant source of D3. Combined, they provide vital nutrients for key areas of health that shape our future. Bone and joint, immune, mood, to name just 3. Nourish your quality of life today and live forward with Soul Longevity. So that's on the back of the label, and it's a great intro to start us into what we want to learn about tonight. So with that, I'd like to invite, we've got a couple of pre-recorded segments that we'd like to show. In fact, we've got 3 of them from 3 experts who we greatly appreciate. We'll start with Dr. Alison Caldwell-Andrews and hear what she has to say. Each of them is covering a separate topic, these 3 topics that we mentioned on the back of the label: bone and joint, immune, and mood. Now we're going to flip those tonight. We're going to start with mood, and then we'll get into immune and end with bone and joint. So that's the order we'll do it tonight. Let's first hear from Dr. Alison Caldwell-Andrews.
Hello, my soul friends. It's so great to be with you here. And I'm about to share my screen, but I just wanted to show my face and say, how are you? Good to see you all virtually, right? And so let me share my screen now, and we're going to look at this Soul Longevity. This is such an exciting new product, and I'm so happy to be able to be part of helping you understand it better. And so we're talking about food for many things, but what I'm going to talk about is food for mood. Longevity is so much more than just a vegan vitamin D. It's awesome. So what you're going to hear about with me, we're going to talk about what is reindeer lichen anyway. What else is there in longevity 3? Mood and vitamin D, and mood and other ingredients that are in there. So let's start with what is reindeer lichen. This is such an interesting plant. And so you can see there are 2 different botanical names that it goes by. There's not a lot of research on it yet. So maybe less than 10 articles really. It grows mostly in the Arctic, but it has been found as low as the Mediterranean. So it's not only in the Arctic. It can grow in warmer weather, but it's mostly in the Arctic. There's no roots. It's just a plant. There's no roots. It gets its moisture instead of from the ground, from the air around it. In the summer, it kind of dries out, and then in the winter, it comes back again. It can live for about 200 years. So it's very, very long living and very, very slow growing, but it is hugely abundant. It's just everywhere. And it's a primary source of food for reindeer and caribou. And in fact, what you find is that reindeer will find a patch of it and kind of guard that patch. And an interesting fact that I came across that I just find fascinating is female reindeer actually don't lose their antlers over the winter, and male reindeer do. And the reason why female reindeer don't lose their antlers is so that they can defend their food. They can defend their food source and protect their young. And so here they are guarding their patch of a reindeer lichen, and there's just tons and tons of it all throughout the Arctic. And then you've got the male reindeer who are walking around without horns. And so you might be tempted to assume their gender, but unless you know that female keep their horns and males lose their horns, you might be wrong. Okay, so what is lichen? It's a combination of a fungi and of an alga. And so the algae it's specifically involved in reindeer lichen is Trabuxia. So the fungi it sort of like provides the house. It shelters the algae, and the algae basically produces the food. And as part of that, it produces significant amounts of vitamin D2 and D3. And D3 is the one we're really, really interested in. There are a lot of plant sources of D2 that we think about, but D3 is what we really want. A few other plants do contain D3, but they can't really be produced for commercial use for getting vitamin D3. They're not a really good source of it. Reindeer lichen, however, is a really good source of vitamin D3, which is so cool because now we have available a source for vitamin D3 that is vegan, and that's just awesome. Everybody needs vitamin D. Really, everybody needs a lot of vitamin D. Exposure to sunlight is generally how most people get it, but that doesn't work for everyone. And a lot of times people's lifestyle gets in the way of them being out in the sun, or they might have some sort of genetic kind of polymorphism that gets in the way of then converting the sunlight to vitamin D3, etc. If you live above 35 degrees latitude, then you also have trouble, because really the only place that you're getting enough intense sunlight at the angle that you need it is below 35 degrees latitude. So what that means is south of the line that kind of goes through Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Oklahoma City. So if you make a line through those 2 cities and then you kind of see, am I above that or below that? If you live in the United States or in Mexico, then you'll know. So Mexico, of course, is below that. And so you will have enough sun to make vitamin D, if you're outside in the sun and if you can convert vitamin D from the sun into the usable form in your body, and all the other reasons why your body may or may not be a great converter of vitamin D. So everybody needs that vitamin D. How does that work in your body? It's kind of a complicated process, a little bit more complicated than a lot of the nutrients that we take in. So a lot of times when you take a nutrient in, you're eating something and then it just goes right to work. And with vitamin D, what's really interesting is that you have you have what's called provitamin. It comes before the provitamin D3, and that's a form of cholesterol in your skin. And so you've got, say, cholesterol, like in your arms or something, and it's right under the skin, and it's provitamin D3. The sun rays will change it to previtamin D3. So you've got these UV photons. So if you are using sunblock that blocks the UV rays, or if you're behind glass that's blocking UV rays, then you're not able to change that provitamin D3 into previtamin D3. So you need to have the exposure to the UV light. UV photons are what change the provitamin D3 in your cholesterol to previtamin D3. Then that molecule undergoes something called isomerization. And so the isomer is changed over the next 2 or 3 days. It takes a while for it to change to actual D3, to vitamin D3. So you got provitamin D3, then you have the sunlight, changes it to previtamin D3, and then you have some changes in the body where it converts to D3. Only about 10 to 20% of it converts to D3. The rest converts to something called lumestrol. We could talk about lumestrol another day. But vitamin D3 is what you want here. There are huge effects across your body, throughout your system. And so you need vitamin D3 in so many ways. We're going to focus today on mood effects, but it also, as you'll hear, has immune effects, bone effects. And the other thing to really note is the amount of D3 that you need to help prevent bone disease is relatively low. It's like 30 if you get a blood test and you get a number back. Nanograms per millimeter is what you're looking at. So that amount to prevent bone disease is relatively low. The amount that you want to help you with mood and with immune effects and all the other great systemic effects of vitamin D3 is higher. We're thinking that it's at least 50, and maybe even higher than that. So that's vitamin D3. Fantastic for you. We're going to talk a little bit more about how it affects mood in a second. Let me introduce you to another new ingredient, which is guduci. Guduci is an adaptogen. And so, every product, we love to throw at least one adaptogen in there. And guduci is a great adaptogen that you haven't seen yet. Another name for it is amrit, also known as, and then of course you see the botanical name. So what we're using with guduci is stem and root in general, and some places use the whole plant. It's considered bitter, warm, and dry, helps with your liver, renal systems, immune systems, anti-inflammatory. It's also been used as an aid to treating malaria, which I think is useful for us to know right now, since people are looking more toward that aspect of plants that help with malaria and they help carry oxygen. Uric acid excretion is also something that guduci can help with, and uric acid is involved in things like gout. And so you want to help get rid of that metabolic waste. We talk about the lymph system in that term, and guduci can also help with that. So this is what guduci is. It's been shown to reduce hay fever, anti-stress, which of course goes along with being an adaptogen, right? Antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-diabetic, lowers blood lipids. This may sound familiar to you because it seems like I'm saying these same things over and over about a lot of plants. And so you can see in general, plants are your friends, adaptogens are your friends, medicinal herbs are amazing. Preventing bone breakdown. So it's going to kind of have a synergistic effect then with the reindeer lichen and that vitamin D3, both of them working to help strengthen bone. And then immune and wound healing, again, another synergistic impact. It also really reduces brain inflammation. And so people use it for neurological, for brain kind of help, because it helps with memory, sleep, lowers anxiety, neuroprotective, right? Even to the point to where it can reduce some of that body hyper-responsiveness that happens with asthma. And so you can see that there is some neurological impact that is calming in some ways and very helpful. Another new thing for us is goji. A lot of you may have already heard of goji. Wolfberry is another name for it, lycium. General well-being, excellent. And it's just an overall excellent plant. Well-being, immune, antioxidant, antioxidated, anti-aging. And again, we have got these diabetic effects, hypoglycemic, and improving insulin sensitivity. So it's not just lowering blood sugar, it's also improving your sensitivity and promoting those beta cells in the pancreas that help with diabetes, protecting your retinal ganglion cells. And so these are things in your eye. They're particularly affecting glaucoma. And so this can help protect those, protecting your liver, which we use all the time. It just gets all of the thankless jobs. And so maybe take a moment tonight and thank your liver for helping you out all the time, just across the board, protecting your brain and memory, while you're there. Thank your brain. Lowering your lipids. When we talk about these plants lowering lipids, I think part of what we're really talking about is general health, because lipids are in part a response to stress and inflammation. And when their inflammation happens, inflammation goes up, you have more cholesterol that's produced to help you manage that inflammation, to kind of help with the healing. And so if you don't need as much cholesterol because you're not as sick, you're not as inflamed, then you will have lower blood lipids. And so it makes sense to me that a lot of these plants lower blood lipids, not as like their primary impact, but because they're helping you be more healthy and lowering inflammation. And then of course, you don't need to produce as many blood lipids. All right, so let's just talk about mood for a little bit. I'll just throw some studies at you. This is just kind of fun stuff. What we know is that people who are depressed tend to have low levels of vitamin D. And so there's more research done on that end of it than on the opposite end. Like, does giving people vitamin D actually create less depression? Less research in that area. There is some. Low vitamin D is found in a number of disorders, not just depression, but also bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. And so low vitamin D levels seem to be implicated as something that contributes to your vulnerability to having a mental disorder like depression. And it's been shown to help. It's been shown to help depression, but what I found was really cool, and this is what I wanted to showcase here, is that it's been shown to help treatment-resistant depression. And so that's kind of like the hardest kind of depression to help. When they say treatment resistance, what they really mean is that I gave you an antidepressant and it didn't really seem to work, right? That's really what treatment resistant is. That's not about therapy. It's not about other kinds of treatments. It's about antidepressants didn't work, so we're going to call you treatment resistant, which I think is a little unfair, because it would be nice to just call it antidepressant resistant depression instead of treatment resistant, because obviously you're not resistant to treatment. It's just antidepressants didn't work. So that's what that means. And what they say is that vitamin D has been actually shown to help in those cases. So that's pretty cool, right? Healthy levels of vitamin D can protect you from postpartum depression. And so I think, it's important for everybody to have a healthy level of vitamin D, but certainly important for people who are pregnant or who are thinking about becoming pregnant, making sure that your vitamin D levels are healthy, because not only is it a help with postpartum depression, it's also been shown to help with the baby. And so if you have low vitamin D during pregnancy, that's related to having poor mental and physical health for the baby and for the baby's future life. Also, it's been related to having more ADHD in those children. Mothers with low levels of vitamin D tended to have infants who ended up with more frequent diagnoses of ADHD. Also helps with anxiety. So in addition to reducing depression, you have vitamin D helping with anxiety. What I think it does is kind of helps with general mood stability overall. And even to the point to where it's been showing to help with suicidal risk. And so people who are really, really depressed, vitamin D does seem to help them. So what we see is this is not just that it's associated with low mood, but giving people vitamin D seems to help reduce depression, reduce suicide risk. Another path for mood is magnesium, and the thing that's behind my face here is zinc. That's the big reveal. Zinc, gone, here, gone. Okay, I'll stop playing. All right, so magnesium and zinc. Now, these things are found in plantain, goji, goji, and alfalfa, all of which are in this longevity. And what we know is that these minerals are really useful for mood. And so I thought I'd share some of this research with you. If we've known about this for a while, magnesium deficiency can cause, through, if you want to read this, go for it. I'm not going to explain it a lot, though. I just want to tell you that giving people magnesium has an antidepressant effect. And in fact, when you can, when you give people larger amounts of magnesium, I've seen research that says you can see a real difference in a matter of a week, 7 days, maybe 2 weeks. So dietary deficiency with other stress can cause a lot of agitation in people. And if you kind of miss this real basic nutrient, magnesium, a lot of people have low levels of magnesium. And so this capsule contains things that will give you some good sources of magnesium. Also has this fantastic probiotic, right? Propionibacterium freudenreichii. Can you say it with me? I bet some of you did. So this makes B12, right? Remember that? B12 will help you with depression, but also Propionibacterium freudenreichii also makes K2. So this is like so exciting that it makes both of these things because K2 goes with D3. So when you take vitamin D, you want to also make sure that you are taking plenty of K2. K2 helps the D go where it needs to go. So if you're taking K2, then the vitamin D3 will end up going into bone health, more likely than going into hanging out with artery plaque. Okay, so you want to take some K2 also. It's huge in that it's also important for mood. And some people will say that our understanding of K2 and how important it is about 20 years behind our understanding of D3. And so if you think about how we're starting to say, wow, vitamin D is everywhere. It is critical across the board. Vitamin K2 might well be just like that. And we may be saying that sort of thing 20 years from now. So sum up, huge number of effects for this awesome formula. Way more than just getting vitamin D3. It really has a large impact. Important for your brain health, important for your food, for your mood, for your mood. And I want you to stay tuned. More information is coming about the bone and immune system. Enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Allison. I like that. Food for your mood. I'm going to remember that. And I think you answered the question, why would we put a probiotic in this wonderful D3 and reindeer lichen, et cetera, formula? You said it, and I'm with Dr. Allison. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more in coming years why K2 is a much bigger deal maybe than we've seen. We really believe in all these active components. These plants are just chock full of them, and there's a wonderful balance in nature. And these are some of the highest concentrations in the adaptogens that we've chosen for this formula. So I think we're going to see some surprising results. In fact, we just started using it ourselves here just a few days ago. I feel guilty admitting that to you, but not too guilty, because while Dr. Allison was talking, guess what Blake was doing? He was activating the product, but don't, I shouldn't have said that because now you're going to leave. Don't leave. There's good information coming. With that, we'll come back and we might have a question or two for Dr. Allison. Let's jump to the second topic, which is immunity and why this is such an important product nutritionally, food for immunity. And Lidia has that presentation. Lidia?
I was tasked with the job of sharing with you how longevity is going to help the immune system. So that's going to be my focus. I want you to know that because as I talk about the different plants within longevity, I want you to understand that is not the only thing it's going to do. As I do my best to share with you today the way longevity helps the immune system, please keep in mind that as we look to the immune system, we're actually going to be looking at all the systems as well. And when we talk about the immune system, we must always do more than just concentrate on it. And when I say that, this is what I mean. We must do more than just say, well, my immune system is weak, so let me go look in Solle for all the products that are going to help my immune system. We have to realize that when the immune system is affected, it really means a lot more than just that system, strengthening it or feeding it or helping it. This is what it means. It means there are 4 things in our body that are being affected. And so let's briefly take a look at them. It means our body is out of balance. So when I have immune illnesses, or not immune illnesses, but when I have an immune system problem of some kind, an illness that is reoccurring, something with my immune system, it means my body is out of balance. And so when that happens, when the body's out of balance, of course, our immune system is going to be filling in for other organs that are not doing their job, and it's going to be overtaxed. When our body is full of toxins that are getting lodged in our tissues, of course, the immune system is going to fight against us because it's going to perceive the toxins in those tissues and it's going to go and attack it. When our body is full of pathogens, it's like a breeding ground for them. And now we have parasites and fungus and virus and bacteria. Our immune system is going to be constantly defending us. And so what do you think is going to happen with a system that does that all the time without finding any rest? It's going to tire out. And when our bodies lack nutrition, the immune system doesn't have the tools necessary to work as it should. So I want you to keep in mind that these 4 things are like a tsunami that go against us and create issues in our immune system. When our immune system is off, we have got to look at balancing our body, clearing it of toxins, addressing pathogens, and feeding it, giving it nutrition. And how I love what longevity is going to do to help us face these personal tsunamis, because we all have them. So let's jump right into the first plant that I want to share and talk about in this potent little bottle that's called longevity. So Guduci, this is one of our adaptogens. And I remember as I first looked at this plant, loving that it looks like a heart, because as I read more and more about it, my heart already loved it. And I know yours will too, as you continue to listen to all the benefits of Guduci, not just from what I'm going to share, but what Valerie and Dr. Allison and Blake will say as well, or have said. Studies that were done on this plant, like many studies, when plants are studied, you would wish, right, that they would look at all the components of them together, but no, they don't. They hone in on certain components and they isolate them, certain compounds. They isolate them, and they did no different with Guduci. And so studies that have done on this plant have been geared to isolating the compounds found in Guduci. And as they did that, they learned that these were antiperiodic, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, anti-allergic. Now remember, I'm focusing on the immune system. There were many more benefits of these compounds, but with my focus on the immune system, this is what I'm going to be highlighting. Now, the beauty of Solle is that it doesn't isolate compounds on plants, but it rather offers us the whole plant, which means we're going to get all the benefits without negative side effects, because it is when compounds are separated from the plant and then concentrated many times that negative effects become positive. Become present. So let's talk about these adjectives that I just mentioned. those descriptive adjectives. What does it mean? What does it mean when I said that studies were done where compounds were separated and they realized they were antipariotic, for example? Well, that's one of my favorites, actually. This is going to be a plant. Longevity, because it has this, is going to help us avoid periodic, meaning reoccurring symptoms or illnesses. So, the cold you get every month, the headache you battle with daily, the allergies you face weekly or seasonally or very frequently, no matter how you look at it, this is going to be beneficial for us. Longevity is going to be great for us to depend on. Anti-inflammatory, because stress, wrong foods, our surroundings, it can all result in inflammation in our body. So even as our body heals, our immune system may respond with inflammation. So Guduchi is going to help us move through both of those types of inflammation. Anti-allergic. So it's a natural response of our immune system, right? It responds a certain way when it's reacts to something. And what do we normally do? What do people normally do? They look to suppress the reaction. I hate the hives. I hate the rash. I hate the watery eyes. Where's the stuff to make it go away? Where's the allergy medication? And then we suppress the response. We're not going to be doing that with longevity. We're actually going to help give the body what it needs so we don't have that reaction. So it's going to be awesome that we have an alternative for people who have reoccurring illnesses, inflammation all the time, allergies. I hope you're beginning to see how this is going to be beneficial for you. Reindeer lichen is one we're going to be talking a lot about because this is the plant that's going to offer us vitamin D2 and D3. And it's like we said, we've never heard such a great need for the immune system, vitamin D for the immune system as we have in these past year. And so now we have it in a bioavailable form because it won't be man-made. It'll actually come from a plant. And at an immune level, we're very interested in a good bioavailable form of vitamin D because low levels of vitamin D have been linked to an increased risk of developing autoimmune illnesses. So we want to make sure that if we're taking vitamin D, our body is using it. And when it comes to autoimmune illnesses, to having an increased risk of developing it, that's so concerning to me because I remember 30 years ago when I was starting out in the health journey of helping others, autoimmune illnesses were something that only affected 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. And now, fast forward 30 some years later, kids, babies are facing autoimmune illnesses. And you have to ask why? Because of the parents. The parents, the man and the woman who became parents were lacking the nutrients they needed to have healthy babies. And so what was the result? Babies that were cheated of stronger organs and they became predisposed to illness. So what does that mean? That we have to take care of our girls if we have them, or of our boys when we have them, because they will be fathers and mothers tomorrow. And our responsibility as parents is to take care of us and take care of them so that when they become of marrying age and and begin to father children, they actually have the nutrition necessary to bring in healthier babies. And that is going to be something that we will be responsible for. Now, several studies show that if we have good levels of vitamin D, we can fight inflammation better. And that's awesome because inflammation results in illnesses. Any illness that you have in your mind right now that you're sitting there wondering, I wonder if this illness I have will benefit from longevity. Any illness is going to is because you have inflammation, right? Because inflammation causes illnesses. So a plant that helps address inflammation is going to help with any health imbalance that you're thinking of that's in your mind right now. So it's really neat that vitamin D is going to be finally available to us. And when it says here that good levels of it help us fight inflammation, why is that? Why do we say that? Well, because even though we talk about vitamin D as a vitamin, it really is a hormone. Actually, it's a steroid hormone. And so it's going to work just like steroids do in our body. Now think, when do you use steroids? You use it when there's hives that won't go away, when there's a pain that won't subside, when there's something going on you have not been able to get rid of. You go to the doctor and eventually he gives you or she gives you steroids. Why? Because it brings down inflammation, gets rid of the pain, gets rid of the hives, gets rid of the allergy that won't go away with anything else. That's inflammation. coming down because steroids are present. But boy, do steroids have second horrible effects. So how neat it is to know that with longevity, we're going to have a natural equivalent to this steroid. I'm very excited about what this product is going to do for us all. Now, many worry about being genetically predisposed to an illness. And in such cases, having low levels of vitamin D makes us even more liable to develop illnesses we could be predisposed to. So having reindeer lichen is going to be so amazing. And also, have you noticed that you feel more tired and you lack energy when you're sick? It's like huge, right? I can't move, I can't do anything, I'm so lethargic. Well, reindeer lichen is 94% carbohydrates. In fact, that's why reindeer feed on it during the winter to stay warm, because it provides them the energy they need to stay heated. So if it does that for them, it's going to help us as well. And how wonderful to know that we'll have good carbs to fuel us. So vitamin D or reindeer lichen? Should I take a vitamin D supplement, which I've been doing up to now? Well, up to now, it's the only option people have had, right? And they've been buying vitamin D as a supplement. And where does it come from up to now? It's extracted from sheep's wool. They squeeze it, they roll it until it excretes this yellow, waxy substance. Yes, sheep grease. And then it's heavily processed, it's concentrated with synthetic chemicals, and until it's consolidated into what we know and then buy as vitamin D3. Well, you'll be happy to know now we don't have to get it from sheep's wool. We can get it from a plant and get 1,000 units per capsule. And as a bonus, we're going to get both vitamin D and vitamin 3. And that's wonderful news for the immune system because it works best when it has both presents. Plantain leaf powder, another very beneficial plant for the immune system. And I say that because, as you can see, there's a list of all the phytochemicals that are in it. And on the right, you'll see all the benefits that these phytochemicals give to the body. We'll take a look at some of them. It's hepatoprotective. What does that mean? That it helps remove liver toxins from the body. And that's wonderful because the less toxins we have, the better everything will work in our body. When we have too many toxins, the body puts it, like we said, in tissue and the immune system attacks it. So the less toxins we have, the less the immune system wants to attack our tissues. So it's really a win-win situation for all of us. How does it help remove liver toxins? Well, it helps the liver convert toxins into fat or water-soluble forms and then excretes them through the bowels or the urine. It's also mucolytic, which means it's going to remove mucus, excess mucus from the body. And that's good because if we had an excessive amount of mucus in the body, we'd have a lot of congestion. Our immune system would work more, cysts would develop. So another awesome benefit. It's anti-allergy. So that's great because today too many people depend on antihistamines, which what do these do? They disrupt the immune response. So long-term of people taking antihistamines all the time, it's a shutting off of the immune system. What do you think it'll do to the immune system? It's going to weaken it. So with longevity, we are going to have a better option. Antibiotic properties. So now when you're looking for an antibiotic, you know that longevity is going to give you an awesome alternative. I love that it says immunomodulators because what does that mean? Well, it's going to modulate our immune system. A lot of people worry when there's a product that works for the immune system. Yeah, their question is, yeah, but is it going to make it overactive? Because I battle an autoimmune illness, and I can't have an overexcited immune system because it's already there. Well, an immunomodulator means that if your immune system is overworking, it's going to feed it so that it levels down to where it should be. But if it's weak, it's going to feed it so that it works at a level it should. So we are going to have amazing benefits in longevity. Goji is another product that is in here, wonderful for the immune system. One of its antioxidants boasts of its ability to inhibit tumor growth, and look at the effectiveness that it has on cancer treatments with this reference that you can take a look at. So a lot of benefits from having goji, which is another adaptogen that we have in longevity. Many researchers believe that it can prevent macular degeneration, and that's huge because that's something that more and more people are facing as they hit 50s and 60s. And why does that happen? It's a kidney and liver burnout. The traditional Chinese medicine teaches us that. And what does goji do? It feeds those two organs, the kidneys and the liver. So how amazing is that? And then we have alfalfa. Now, I love what the word alfalfa translates into in Arabic, father. And that must be because of its impressive natural ability that it has to solve many problems within the body. In fact, we know it because alfalfa is vital. And it's so beneficial. And anybody has anything, and anytime anybody has anything, we say, hey, you have to take vital, and because that's what your body needs to do its thing. And sure enough, it works. And that's why, because it's the father. What is a quality does a father have of solving problems? And so I love that alfalfa is in here too. It works as an antihistamine, so it's a great candidate to treat allergies. And it is even going to help with, when we talk about allergies, sneezing, sinus congestion, runny nose, difficulty breathing. And when I say difficulty breathing, traditional Chinese medicine has used it. It has been used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat asthma. So fantastic that no more allergy, no more people who battle allergy, no more running for more Benadryl, because now we have an amazing option. And if we battle asthma, how wonderful to know we have longevity. So that'll help us, or it should help you see a couple of the benefits that this amazing product has for the immune system. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you just can't simply wait till we have it in Solle to run out and get yourself a couple of bottles, because that's exactly how I am feeling.
Well, Lydia, you're not the only one feeling that way, because looking at the chat here, we've seen a few people who I think they've run out and gotten themselves a couple of bottles already. Thank you for that, a wonderful presentation. So now we've talked about mood, food for mood, and I love your perspective on the immune system. What's really behind it, Lydia? All the teaching there and how this product can be a great nutritional support for that. So now let's step to Valerie's presentation. Valerie Bledsoe will take us through the amazing benefits of longevity for bone health. Valerie.
Back pain is the most common neurological complaint in North America, second only to headaches. In fact, in America, more than $50 billion with a B, dollars is spent every year on treatment. There was even an interesting little article published in the Journal of American Board of Family Medicine in 2008. They looked at 6 cases where patients had experienced either chronic back pain or a failed back surgery. What they found out was when these people had their vitamin D levels raised in their body, they saw significant improvement, and some of them even completely got rid of their back concerns. And then we have Dr. Michael Hollick. He writes that between 40 to 60% of the people who comes into his clinic have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, that they actually have a vitamin D deficiency related osteomalacia. Says these people have often also been written off as victims of depression. So we have 2 major things that these doctors are seeing that are directly impacted or can be directly impacted by upping our vitamin D levels. This is one of the reasons I am so excited to have this plant source vitamin D3 available now in the Solle Naturals lineup. The longevity is an amazing addition to our Solle Naturals product line. The reindeer lichen is our major source of the vitamin D3 in this. It is a beautiful, beautiful plant here. And vitamin D is specifically tied to heightening your muscle mass, strength, and coordination. So otherwise, when your body's off or deficient in that, you might not have as much grace as you might want, or dexterity, or the ability to maneuver, even, like with your eyes closed. Vitamin D can impact this. Vitamin D also supports having normal teeth development and health. And think beyond just every day right now, think also in utero when you have a pregnant mom, what a benefit this is. Because actually, when the baby is growing, she is also supporting the growth, and that teeth development is being impacted then. And having enough vitamin D will also reduce your calcium needs. So there's many things that can tie into this for your calcium absorbability, but vitamin D is going to have a major impact. What else does vitamin D? What other roles does it have? Well, it has a dependent role in our osteohealth. Otherwise, where are you at in your life? So fetal development and in childhood, it's going to be our bone former. So think of it as that bone structure is forming in utero. Think of it as we get up and start crawling and then walking. And then as a teenager, those growth spurts where all of a sudden kids just shoot up like crazy. Vitamin D is really important for that to occur correctly. And then once we become an adult, it's going to be tied in more with our bone turnover. It's a regulator for that, because our bones don't stay the same. Once they're built, it doesn't mean we're done. There is a process that goes on to keep us having as good and strong a bone density as possible as we go ahead and age in life. So let's talk about the calcium component of this. How does this tie into our structural integrity? Well, one thing we need to know is simple deficiency signs. How can we know that maybe we're not getting enough calcium, and or remember, because that D3 plays a role in our ability to utilize calcium. It means we may have it, but we may not be able to use it. So deficiency signs would be muscle cramps. We could have numbness and tingling in our arms and legs, and even brittle nails. We're all familiar with the porous or fragile bones between osteopenia, osteomalacia, and osteoarthritis, but also just think joint pains and our tooth decay. So another area, or the area of the body that usually shows the first loss, is going to be in the jawbone. And we notice it because our teeth get loose, and they're getting loose because the jawbone is getting thinner. And therefore the roots of the teeth just aren't snug anymore. This is another reason that sometimes when people start on medications tied to osteoporosis, that their jawbone gets impacted first. So the tailbone, also known as the coccyx, is the area of the body where it's called its calcium warehouse, and that's where the body stores that extra calcium. We can sometimes notice a achiness there if we're deficient and don't have enough. Another way we might notice it is if we break a bone, and then as the body is working on healing that broken area, not only is there an achiness there, but there is an achiness actually in the tailbone when it's pulling that from those calcium reserves. Like I said, the calcium is constantly being utilized in the body, but the whole supply is constantly being replaced in that body every 6 years. So not only in the warehouse of it, but every place that we have calcium in the body. And once again, vitamin D plays a critical role in not only helping calcium when it comes to kidneys and helping keep it from impacting kidneys in a not great way, it also helps the body to hold on to the calcium and be able to use it as it's called for. Now, when we look at the different parts of osteoporosis, this is important. This is actually a process that is constantly going on throughout our life, and it's called bone remodeling. It can be almost 10% of your entire skeleton at any given time that is being worked on. And when I was doing some research, I found anywhere from, I think it was about 40% of the entire skeleton that could at points be changed over in a year's time. This is really important because this allows our body to repair, grow, respond to anything that's thrown at us, whether it's a fall and we bruise the bone, or maybe it's because we break an area. Now, when we can't keep up and there's an imbalance to how much of bones being reabsorbed compared to how much is being made, then that is when osteoporosis occurs. And you can see in the picture over here that the more extreme that this gets out of balance, the more fragile that bone structure is. So there's basically more hollow areas that are in the bone. Alfalfa is one of our components that I absolutely love that is in this formula. Alfalfa is what I always used, was given as a kid growing up. It's what I used throughout my pregnancy. It's what I used for all my kids to get that really strong bone structure, teeth. It just did amazing. And you can see from the picture there that there's very long tap roots on this plant. In fact, it extends from 15 to 30 feet into the ground. That allows it to pull up amazing amounts of minerals. In fact, it's looked at as kind of the king of herbs because it is so mineral laden with calcium. You can see we've got phosphorus, potassium, lots of trace minerals. It also has lots of vitamins in it: A, C, E, and K, D, B6, 12, U. It's very high in iron. It also has enzymes, and enzymes are critical whenever we to assimilate, break down our food. Of course, electrolytes, which tie in with your mineral components as well, your amino acids, your fiber. Otherwise, it is just a great plant, and it's actually something that was just a given. And alfalfa was something that I always used for my kids, and I learned it because my brother would use it when they had growing pains. And our oldest son, one year around his 8th grade summer, he literally grew like 6 inches in the summer. And I was able to keep him from having growing pains by using alfalfa. So you can see why this is such a great component to have in our formula for the D3 to give us the minerals and the calcium to make for a great supporter of our bone health. Plantain, another plant that I love, and that's also high in calcium. It, along with the alfalfa, is 2 plants that I always used when I had to work with compression fractures, because it would help those stress fractures of bone areas to heal so quickly. And you couldn't look at it and know how much calcium was in it, but the proof was in the pudding. Otherwise, the results we got. Plantain's also really important, helping support kidney and bladder health. Guducci, another new wonderful adaptogen we've got. So we know it's going to help with how stress impacts our bones, whether stress from injury, stress from aging, stress from chemical toxin exposure. It's also been proven through research to help challenge issues like arthritis, joint pain, gout, any types of pain and swelling, which when we don't feel good, as in the swelling and redness in the areas, then the bones don't have the same support for our structural system. So very important. Also supports the kidney health. Now, why do I keep emphasizing the plants and components that support the kidney health? Well, specifically because, and you're going to see here, goji, which also helps to nourish and tonify the kidney. In Chinese traditional Chinese medicine, there is looked at a relationship between the kidneys and the bone. And I was always taught that when your water's out of balance, then you don't hold your adjustments so well. Your bones will go out of alignment, or you can get adjusted by a chiropractor and you won't hold the adjustment. But once we get that balance established and supported, then you hold your adjustment. So to me, this is perfect that we have 3 different plants that come in and support the kidneys so that we're supporting that water element in the structural system to help us hold ourselves in alignment. So now what you need to think is, I want you to notice, could this formula be for you? So let's think, is it tender when you push on your sternum? Believe it or not, that can be a indicator that you are low in vitamin D. Like we talked about, you have that occasional achiness in your tailbone. Do you have a job where you sit a lot and don't exercise? Because right there, we already know that we're already not getting as much support as we need for that structural system, that bone health and the muscles. Do you already have a muscle weakness, particularly around the pelvis or hip area? Because if you do, then that's also showing that you might be low in D3. Again, any issues with poor teeth formation or loose teeth? Do you experience regular back pain? Remember the statistics we talked about at the beginning of this little chat here. And do you experience ringing in the ears? I found that very interesting to find out that that could be a symptom of being low in D3. If you experience or have any of these, or if you have bones in your body, which of course we all do, you might consider adding this formula to your soul protocol, your soul list.
Oh my, Valerie, great information. Fantastic as always. Just riveting. In fact, I was thinking when you mentioned the achiness in the tailbone, when I get my slides late to Kendall, I feel like I notice the achiness in my tailbone, and maybe I can just use longevity when that happens. That's my thought. So we're not done. We're not done yet. I think it's time to hear from Blake. We've heard some great presentations, and I know Blake's got some great information. So let's listen to a little bit of Blake's perspective. He's going to talk a little bit from the supply chain perspective. He's got, as I say, about 30 years working with suppliers all over the world and looking at materials and the choices, because there are always a number of choices when we look at actually combining these wonderful plants. And so I asked Blake to just share a little bit about what's in, what some of the key ingredients and what materials are there, and just a thought or two about those. So Blake, I'll turn a little time to you.
Thanks, Craig. And thank you, Dr. Allison and Lidia and Valerie, for doing such a great job talking about the benefits of the ingredients. I'm just going to take a few minutes and talk about the unique benefits of the exact ingredients that we have in longevity. It's got some really new ingredients that we just learned about. Thank you, Dr. Allison, for tipping us off on reindeer lichen. I have to admit that it was very difficult to find a reindeer lichen material that performs the way that we have in our product. And that's one thing that you're going to see as reindeer lichen becomes more popular in the industry, is finding out that you're getting a reindeer lichen that contains the D3 content that we have in our product. This is the first time, even though we have vitamins and minerals that are very rich and prevalent in all of our ingredients, this is the first time that we're claiming an actual amount per capsule of a vitamin in our formulas. And that's a very bold move, a very bold statement to make on our label, because almost never does a company claim from a plant source an exact amount of a vitamin. We're doing that in longevity because we're so confident in the material that we've found. We tested many different materials of reindeer lichen, and many of the materials don't have a high amount. You have to use an extract of the material to be able to get the vitamin D3 content that we have. But first off, the most exciting thing about the material that we use is obviously it's plant sourced, as it's been mentioned previously this evening. That is a huge advancement, and we were so excited when Alison taught us about that we can now use a plant source material for vitamin D3. Just a bit of information about D3. There's been a lot of research over the last several years as vitamin D has become much more popular. The recommended daily intake for vitamin D has been 400 IU for many, many years because of the recognized need of vitamin D in our diets. Just last year, the RDI was increased to 800 IU per day, or 20 micrograms. That was not a joke, even though that was announced on April Fool's Day last year. I thought that was fitting with 2020, but April 1st last year, vitamin D3, the recommended RDI was increased to 800. We know that there have been many studies that recommend much higher levels than that. We thought that the new recommended RDI was going to be around 2,000, but they settled in on 800. We made a very conscious decision about how much vitamin D3 we were going to put in longevity. And Greg's lead on that, we ended up putting 1,000 IU of vitamin D3 per capsule. So that's just a little bit more than 25 micrograms of vitamin D3 that's naturally occurring D3 that we can claim. I have a slide here that shows our certificate of analysis of the starting material, the material before we started blending it and putting it in a capsule. We wanted to make sure and very certain that the vitamin D3, the content that we were putting per capsule, contained the amount that we wanted to. And we can see this is at 100 IU per microgram. We have just over 25 micrograms present. So that way we were able to formulate the formula. Our finished product testing showed that we have just a little higher than 1,000 IU per capsule, about 1,026 IU. So very confident about the content of vitamin D3 that we have per capsule. So if you look at how much vitamin D3 do I want to take in a day, the 1,000 IU per capsule was a very great choice that Greg made. If you want 2,000 IU, you take 2 capsules. If you want 3,000 IU, you take 3 capsules. So it's very simple to meter that amount of vitamin D3.
Yeah, and Blake, before we jump to the goji, just for a minute, I think part of the reason for that was going forward as maintenance, really, the product is designed so that one capsule is actually exceeding the RDI, as Blake mentioned. And that felt like, because many people are using a program, as Valerie mentioned, you have your Solle nutritional protocol, things that we use every day, and it would make it an easy add-on. But if we're working on something at the time, and there are, from 3 great presentations tonight, immune reasons, there are bone reasons, there are mood reasons, where we want a building block amount at 1,000 IU. Okay, I might be doing 2 capsules twice a day because I want to, therapeutically, I'm going to use 4,000. It's really easy to do that with the formula. And so I'm as happy as Blake is that we've got this very consistent, high quality extract of D3, and really the other things that reindeer lichen contains, not just the D3, of course.
And sorry, one last thing about the reindeer lichen. We're going to see a lot more information coming out on this. This is a very new ingredient to get reindeer lichen concentrated at this level. There are reindeer lichen suppliers and materials out there that are available, but not in this amount. And you're going to see products coming out on the market. We're literally one of the very first to use this. You're going to see products coming out on the market that use reindeer lichen and they'll claim the benefits of D3, but they're not going to be able to claim an amount that we have. It's a very expensive material to get vitamin D3 content this high because of the extraction process used, but it's comforting to know that we have that premium ingredient in our formula. Just as excited to talk about the goji in our formula, and I want to move to that slide. There are actually 2 types of lycium or goji berry that we use in longevity. We use the fruit powder, but we also use a very concentrated extract, and I want to talk a little bit about why we use that extract. It's extracted to polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are very beneficial in many different ways. Dr. Allison talked about that previously. Polysaccharides, that is a carbohydrate, specifically a fiber that helps with digestion. I was involved in a study a while back with a well-known scientist, Dr. David Pascoe, University of Mississippi, that did a study on polysaccharides in aloe vera, the importance of digestion with polysaccharides, helping with transit times. But the most amazing part of the type of polysaccharides that are in this goji formula is its ability to promote cellular communication. We talked a lot about immune system support previously this evening. That cellular communication for the amount of polysaccharides that's in this formula helps activate and communicate the different parts of immunomodulation. So communication at a cellular level, basically what that means in layman terms to me is it helps clean our immune system. Helps, like Lidia said, it doesn't overactivate our immune system in a negative way. It helps with cellular communication to help call on macrophage to help move things forward and help strengthen our immune system. So it just helps build it in a way that helps it defend itself, helps it clean things out.
So to add to that thought, Blake, lycium or goji berry is naturally very high in a group of these several groups of polysaccharides, right?
Mhm.
So with this extract, combining both the powder and the extract, we're just ensuring an extra high level, a concentrated level. The extract itself has all the rest of the goji berry as well.
Mhm.
It's not separated out. As Lidia pointed out, we don't like to do that, so we like to use the whole thing. But it ensures a very concentrated level of these important polysaccharides. And we really love this combination of the powder blended with this exceptional extract.
Wanted the power of the entire plant, but we also wanted to guarantee an amount through that extract, make sure that we're meeting those immune claims that we're talking about. Good. Let's move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about the Guiducci or Tinospora cordifolia. This is an exciting new ingredient to our line here at Soul Naturals. Wanted to talk about some unique things about it. We've listened to the great benefits. This is a 4-to-1 concentrated extract that we're using. So what does that mean? It means we're using the entire plant, just extracted the entire plant down to a 4-to-1 extract. So it makes it 4 times stronger or 4 times more potent than the standard herb by itself. We're getting all the properties. We haven't taken anything out or extracted any unique part of it, but it's just an entire concentrated amount of the entire plant. Again, adaptogen used in Ayurvedic medicine for years, known for its immune activity. But some unique studies that have been done on this that I wanted to point out, in addition to what we've talked about this evening, is about cellular repair and rejuvenation. So that played a role in part in the name longevity.
In fact, yeah, Blake, when you brought this slide up, I mean, I'm just smiling because I just want to say to you, just wait. When you start using this, just wait. Guiducci, there's a reason that Lidia loves it, and it's a heart-shaped vine because there's some amazing. The studies are great evidences. The history is so rich anyway. We know what results. I always think of this with studies. One of our soul leaders talks about his dad teaching him that the label will endure whatever is written upon it. It's the results that matter. And I'm translating this statement. The label endures whatever is printed. When you have so much history with it, this is just an amazing adaptogen. I think you're going to be surprised at the benefits. As Blake knows, I already am. It is very synergistic with several of these 3 topics with all 3 of the 3 topics we've learned about. And maybe in a minute, I'll just share an experience I've had in just over a week with it. But I love the point that Blake brought out about repair and rejuvenation, because I noticed in the chat, someone had written, hey, is this something, I think it had to do with kids. I'm trying to think of who it was. But is this something, they've had these problems? Will it make a difference now, or is it kind of too late? I think was the unspoken or the unwritten question there. And we have such a strong belief here that when you can get the right nutrients in good amounts, and let's say therapeutic amounts, and the body has a chance, and you combine them with adaptogens that are about this rejuvenation and repair, the body's amazing. It wants to bring back balance. It wants to repair itself. There are processes, daily processes, weekly. We've learned a little bit more about that this evening that do that very thing. And I'm always one that has that hopeful attitude, both for myself and for everyone else. That if I can get the right nutrition and a chance, and giving the body a chance, dealing with the stress, dialing things down so that there's enough rest and the body can do its thing, I'm definitely a believer that it can. And so I love this point at Guiducci. I'll just say that one more time. You just wait. I think you're going to love what it does in this formula.
Yeah, I remember how excited we were about it when you and I met with the supplier from India, how excited they were to tell us about this new adaptogen, and it's living up to its standard. I'm excited for the future of what it has to offer.
So
Let's move on to the next ingredient to talk about a couple of points on this one. The mineral content in the plantain and the alfalfa. We've talked about that already this evening from other presentations. We just wanted to point out that the plant source minerals that are in here, we tested all the ones listed in the slide there, and very, very good amounts of all of those. Some things that really jumped out at us was the selenium content.
Higher than we expected. We knew the others would be high. Yeah.
But selenium just kind of shocked us a little bit there. So you're getting added minerals in all of these herbs, but we know that those primarily came from the plantain and the alfalfa that were in there, and that was why we put those in that formula. Alison talked a little bit about why did we put a probiotic in here. We love this probiotic that's in ProBioIQ. We put the exact same amount of the Freudenreichui in this formula, longevity, as we did in ProBioIQ. Contains the exact same amount, 1 billion CFU per capsule. So if you take 2 capsules, you'll get 2 billion and so on. One of the key reasons why we did that, like Alison mentioned, was vitamin K2. We know that Freudenreichui helps with B vitamin absorption as well, but the K2 is a key factor, especially when you're talking about calcium and vitamin D.
And just throwing out there as well with the Guducci, it's one of the best probiotic strains to help other probiotics flourish. Lots of great studies. I remember from the teaching that Alison gave us at, I believe it was a summit a couple of years ago, that a few studies showing other strains flourishing when Propionum bacterium Freudenreichui is present. So it's just going to be a great role in all three of these areas: food for mood, and the immunity and the bone health, to name the areas of focus for tonight. Right. So, Blake, any other comments?
I just want a quick comment, and I have one more slide about why, for all of the label readers out there that are really close, why did we put MCT oil extract in here, organic MCT oil extract? Usually you don't do that in a capsule. Usually it's found in much higher amounts in maybe a drink, or you might take it by drinking the oil. We wanted to make sure that we put some in there to help absorb the vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins. It's a medium-chain triglyceride from coconut that helps the absorption of those fat-soluble vitamins. So you may get a lot more out of adding it to your diet in larger amounts. We wanted to add that in there for the story to help with that absorption.
Yeah, if you're new tonight, there's a wonderful product called Infatuate. It's another great combination with longevity because of what Blake is mentioning. Well, okay, I know we've spent some time, but time so well spent. I hope you would agree with us, educating ourselves a little more about this great product. I'd like to just invite our three experts, if they'd join us now just for a moment as we wrap up here. Dr. Alison and Lidia and Valerie, and just thank each of you for wonderful presentations. That's the second time I've heard them. I listened closely and carefully when you first sent us the recording here just recently, and I learned several new things, and I want to go watch them again. So I think one of the questions in chat was, will the information be made available? Yeah, it will. We'll figure out how best to do that, you bet, because it's information that you can watch several times over and glean. Let me just ask each one of you, and start with you, Valerie, since you had the third presentation. Having watched the other two tonight, and watching yourself one more time, what were thoughts? So 2 questions for you, Valerie. Any additional thoughts that crossed your mind as you thought about this formula that you'd like to share? And then second question for you, as you think of people that you help, tell me some of the thoughts going through your mind in terms of how you're planning on using this, or if anything in particular is already percolating in ways that you might combine it or use it.
Yes, absolutely. It was really neat because we were already getting such quick responses on mood from people, and not just like going from anxious to not anxious, but just being uplifted and happy within, first day or two of dosages.
Okay, so you're talking about the people. Yeah, excuse me for interrupting. So you're talking about I forgot to mention this. There were some samples sent to each of the three of you. Yeah, please share those. You're talking about the people that you shared longevity with, who've only had a few days to use it.
Yes, and they were already noticing that. So to hear Alison talking about that and to realize what I had hoped, which was with this plant source as opposed to animal source, which we were doing the best we could up until then, as we had hoped, we're seeing very quick response with this type of source that's much easier to assimilate. And then one of the things I am really excited to be using this with is with my pregnant moms, because many people know that that's a passion of mine. So be able to implement this into their pregnancy protocol, I just think is going to bring immense value, added value to these health opportunities for these children and these moms.
Okay, excellent, Valerie. Thank you so much. Lidia, let me ask you the same two questions. First, anything to share with the samples that you've, unless you've used them all yourself, in which case, forget that I asked the question. And then also, just having listened to the presentations tonight, to any other thoughts and ideas that you might want to share tonight that you think might be helpful.
4 of us are using them. So
Okay.
we, yes. So one of the neatest things is we're waking up without an alarm clock, and we're actually getting sleepy at night. I work on a different shift, like I have people in the other coast. And so sometimes I'm getting to bed too late. And by like 9 or 10, I'm like yawning. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. So I love that. We're sleeping better, no interruptions in sleep. Like my dad and my mom are very irregular in their sleep at night. And my husband gets up and walks, and so it wakes them up because we're upstairs and they're downstairs. So none of that is happening. He's not getting up and walking, and when he does, they're not feeling it. So I love that. I loved Valerie's presentation, the way she focused on kids, because when I listened to this, the ingredients on this product, that's what I was thinking of too. I was thinking how I love the name, look to the future, the label we have on the back, look to the future and live forward, because I think that's what we're doing here. We're building a different generation, and I'm all about that.
Oh, that's awesome. So Lidia, last Saturday, as I was here, sometimes I have a little tradition with my son. We go to lunch on Saturday to his favorite place, and sometimes we'll come by to pick up things at the Solle offices. And he saw the bottles of longevity and asked me about them. And I told him just a little bit, but it's interesting. I didn't have Valerie's presentation to tell him, but he actually said, hey, Dad, when that comes in, I want to start taking that too. So if you know my son, Ethan, some of you know his story. I'm super excited for him to take it for his specific reasons. So yes, thank you for bringing up kids of all ages. We're all kids because we all, our body, I loved your comment, Valerie, about remodeling. I thought our house was the only thing that doesn't ever end on, but it's our bodies doing the same thing. That's where it comes from. Now I know where that comes from. And this is a product for that. It was meant and designed to be that constant stream of nutrition for the remodeling. I love that image. Thank you, Lidia. So Dr. Alison, as you listen to the other two now, first time you've heard the other two presentations, any thoughts cross your mind and additional things that you'd like to share, perhaps in using it so far?
Well, you know what crossed my mind was this. I loved listening to Lydia's style of presentation, Valerie's style of presentation, and how they highlighted things in their own way that make you just think, oh my goodness, look how valuable all of these ingredients are. And I think it's that complexity to the Solle family where you can find some amazing people to come give their perspective, share their experiences, and then that's matched by the complexity in the formulas that we have in all of these different products. And I think longevity is a perfect thing to showcase in terms of a complex formula. So much more than just a vitamin D3, so much more. And I think that as people are listening, they can start to appreciate it. Of course, there's so much more that we didn't say. And so I look forward to more questions, more thoughts about it, and hearing lots and lots of people's experiences.
I'm sure we will find those opportunities, Allison. Thank you so much. Let me ask you now, it took longer to get your product out to you. Have you started taking it yet? The longevity?
Yes, I've only had it for like a few days.
Okay, so you're just starting.
I have just starting, and I've got a girl, a client who is just how you meet these people and they're just passionate vegans, just passionate. And so I was really worried about her because I'm thinking, how could she possibly have a very good level of some of the nutrients that are needed? She's not doing all of the, anyway. So I was so excited to be able to help her and to help this woman down the street from me who recently went through heart surgery, and we know that vitamin D is really critical for that kind of a thing too. So I'm looking forward to hearing back from them.
You're doing what does not surprise me. So you just thought of two people to help. Well, we look forward to hearing their stories, Allison. And I'll just share my own, and then I'll turn it to Lon. I think he's got a poem to end out tonight. And I think he might be giving some things away too. But let me just share, I've been doing it for a week and a couple of days. And it's very interesting. I did not know the details of what Valerie would teach. And when she talked about it, it was me, actually, the back pain. Let's just say too many miles of running in the mountains. Valerie, I know I need to measure that better, but I actually noticed a significant difference. And I was sharing with Blake the other day. It was after about 5 days, and I went, okay, I wonder, but because I'm very consistent with my nutrition. But I did notice already the mineral, the way I'm absorbing calcium, several of those symptoms that you've talked about from time to time I've noticed in myself, especially, the tailbone, times when I let Kendall down. But all the rest of it does happen. Of course, the jawbone, I've noticed the loose teeth. So I know that's been an issue I've fought, and I've noticed a change in just a few days. So it's just beginning for me as well. I'll share more as I keep taking it. But thank you again to everybody for all your comments. And let's go back to Lon then.
Thanks, Greg. And thank you, Soul Sisters, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge about the product. Pretty exciting stuff, huh? So Greg mentioned that I have a poem. Actually, Greg and I were joking before we started the live stream about writing a poem. So actually, while I was listening to Greg and to Valerie and Allison and Lidia, I did write a limerick. So this is it. The truth is, I have a confession. Longevity is my new soul obsession. It has vitamin D, and, well, that is key to helping with my seasonal depression. And the truth is, I do actually have seasonal depression. Those who know me know how much I enjoy getting out of the cold weather during the wintertime. And so I'm looking forward to taking longevity and helping with my seasonal depression. Now, Greg mentioned that we have some prizes to give away. And I do. I have first prize that I'm going to give away. I have some sunglasses. Now, I hope you were listening, taking notes during the presentations, because in order to win the prize, you're going to have to be the first person to chat in the answer to the question. And so the first prize, these are sunglasses. Why? Because I think with this product, our future, all of us, our future is so bright that we're going to have to wear shades. And here's the question. How many international units of vitamin D3 are in each capsule of longevity? First person to answer correctly will win the sunglasses, and we're going to give a prize away in English and Spanish. So, Kendall, do we have a winner in English? Oh, yeah. I can't see it from Andrea. Andrea Knapp is the winner of the sunglasses. All right, congratulations, Andrea. Now I have two more prizes to give away, and guess what? They're bottles of longevity. So I have 2 bottles to give away. For this one, the first person who can chat in the 2 adaptogens in longevity will be the winner. There are 2 adaptogens in longevity. First one with the correct answer.
It's Molly Higgins.
Molly Higgins. Okay, Gaducci and goji berries. All right, congratulations, Molly. And third and final prize. This goes to, what are the 2 herbs that are high in trace minerals, highest in trace minerals. We had 2 herbs that are specifically high in trace minerals. First person to name those 2 wins the bottle of longevity.
Lori B, plantain and alfalfa.
Lori B comes up with the correct answer of plantain and alfalfa. Congratulations. And those are our prizes. Now, before we conclude, we have a special offer. Some of you, I noticed some of them have been chatting it in, so they've already gone online and found the special offer. But we do have a special offer for longevity, and it runs through the end of the month, through January 31st. And the special is you can buy 3 bottles of longevity for $85. It'll save you almost $11. So more than $10 when you buy 3. You can also start ordering 1 bottle at a time. Blake has turned the product on. It's available on our website. You can call in and order, but take advantage of the special. Make sure you share all of this information with everyone you know. Is there anyone who can't use longevity? I was thinking I've got to get several bottles so that all of my family is on longevity. Again, thanks everyone. Thanks Greg. Thanks Blake. And thank you to Lidia, Valerie, and to Dr. Allison. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you soon.